Welcome back. So now we're going to introduce Miss John Little. Her first name is unknown. They didn't record it, but it's the second part of their escape to Canada. Mrs. John Little. I was born in Petersburg, Virginia. When very young, I was taken to Montgomery County, Tennessee. My old master died there, and I remember that all the people were sold. My father and mother were sold together about 1 mile from me. After a year, they were sold a great distance, and I saw them no more. My mother came to me before she went away and said, "Goodbye, be a good girl. I never expect to see you anymore." Then I belonged to a Mr. T.N., the son of my old master. He was pretty good, but his wife, my mistress, beat me like 60. Here are 3 scars on my right hand and arm, and one on my forehead, all from wounds inflicted with a broken china plate. My cousin, a man, broke the plate in 2 pieces, and she said, "Let me see that plate." I handed up the pieces to her, and she threw them down on me. They cut 4 gashes, and I bled like a butcher. One piece cut into the sinew of my thumb and made a great knot permanently. The wound had to be sewed up. This long scar over my right eye was from a blow with a stick of wood. I belonged to them until I got married at the age of 16 to Mr. John Little of Jackson. My master sold me for debt. He was a man that would drink, and he had to sell me. I was sold to F.T., a planter and a slave trader, who soon after, at my persuasion, bought Mr. Little. So she's advocating for being together with her husband. So let's jump over here to what her husband is saying. John, I had heard that if I could get into Ohio and manage to stay there 1 year, I would after that be a free man. I intended to wait for my wife to be mentally alert, she being sick at the time. I went into the woods and once more took to living on chickens and geese, which I understood very well. In about 2 weeks, I went for my wife. Another man had agreed to come with us, but he was weak enough to advise with a friend about it, and the friend turned traitor and told his master. They are just the same as white men. I found out since I have been in Canada that it's not the skin that makes a man mean. Some of them will betray another to curry favor with the master, or to get a new coat, or $2 or $3. And I notice the same mean spirit among white men. But there are others who would die sooner than betray a friend. I bade my wife to get ready for a start on the next night, and then I took to the bush again. Meanwhile, the traitor slipped to our master and asked him if he knew that there were 3 of the Negroes were going to run away. He told him, "No, which 3?" He named us. "Where are they going to?" "Ohio State." This aroused my master. He went to the quarters, tied the man, and tied my wife. So let's hear Mrs. John Little talk about it. When we had made arrangements for leaving, a slave told on us. Not long after, master called to me, "Come here, my girl, come here." I went to him. He tied me by the wrist with a rope. He said, "Oh, my girl, I don't blame you. You are young and don't know it's the damned infernal son of a blank. If I had him here, I'd blow a ball through him this minute." But he was mistaken about it. I had put John up to hurrying off. Then master stood at the great house door at a loss of what to do. There he had Willis, who was to have run away with us, and the man who betrayed us. At last he took all of us, including the traitor, about half a mile to the swamp, and there and old A need not hear us as he was going to the meeting. It was Sunday. He whipped Willis to make him tell where we were going. Willis said, "Ohio State." "What do you want to be free for, God damn you? What do you know about freedom?" "Who is going with you?" "Only Jack." "God damn Jack to hell, and you too." Then master asked, "Where's Jack?" "I don't know," said he. "Give her blank blank." That was his common word. Then they struck me several blows with a paddle. I kept on telling them it was of no use to whip me, as I knew nothing to tell them. No irons were ready for me, and I was put under a guard. But I was too cunning for him and joined my husband, so she ran away. Back to John talking. After the traitor told, this aroused my master, and he went to quarters, tied the man and my wife, and took them to a swamp. There they uncovered my wife and compelled a girl to whip her with a paddle to make her tell where I was. It so stirred me with indignation to think that they should so foully abuse my wife that I could have run a dagger through their hearts and not thought it wrong. Nor have I yet so far enlightened as to feel very differently about it now. So I would have stabbed them then, I would stab them now. All right. She could not tell him, for she did not know. The man also was punished and put into irons. They had no irons to fit her, and sent to the blacksmith shop to get some made. And had it not been for some craft on her part that night, I should never have gotten her away. So her crafty self, as she said, she got her way out. Old Billy, with whom we were usually left, was the blacksmith, and he was going to make the irons. She was left with a younger man who was a stupid sort of a fellow. It was then nearly noon, and she had no food for the day. She was then at the quarter. She said to one of the girls, "Maria, you go to the turnip patch and get some salad, and I'll go to the spring and get some water and put on the meat." She expected the fellow would stop her, but he did not. She carried the pail to the spring and about a quarter of a mile, then dropped it and made for the bush. It was a downhill way at first, but by and by there was a rise, and then they saw her. Out came master, overseer, and many slaves in full run to catch her, but she was nearly a half a mile ahead and ran very fast. She got into the woods, which were very thick. Master then ordered a halt. He had found from the other slaves that I had a pistol, powder, and a ball, and I had indeed, and would have used it rather than they should take her from me. Take her or me, but I was in another place at the time. I had appointed a place where she was to come to meet me. When I went, she was not there. I then drew near the house to ascertain what had happened, and heard a loud laughing and talking in my cabin. I tried to hear what it was about. I heard one of them say, "Lord, how she did run across that field! Ha ha ha!" She had baked cakes for our journey, and they were making merry over the flour cakes. Presently I saw a colored man and whistled to him. He came up, and I learned what had happened, and that all were then out on a hunt for me, being stimulated by promised reward of $10. All this set me into a tremble. I turned back and went to the place I had appointed. She was nearby, saw me, and ran to me, and so we were together once more. We then walked 9 miles northwardly to a little village where I put up my clothes. The man who betrayed us had told our route. I got the things and went to the barn close by. Then my wife was exhausted and fell on the barn floor. Poor baby. I had strong constitution and could travel all the time, but she was so fatigued from the flogging and the race and the long walk that she fell on the barn floor. I returned to the house and then walked to a tavern stable to hook 3 or 4 blankets to keep us warm on our way north. If this was wrong, it was taught me by the rascality of my master. As we say in Jamaica, thief from thief, God laugh. While at the tavern stable, I heard the dogs bark at the house I had left. I gathered 3 blankets and bolted for the barn, expecting the scoundrels would be pursuing my wife. I saw a candle burning bright in the house and moving from room to room. That frightened me. I seized and shook her. "Wife, wife, master's coming!" But I could not awaken her. I gathered her up and put her across my shoulder manfully, jumped the fence, and ran with my burden about a quarter of a mile. My heart beat like a drum from the thought that they were pursuing us. But my strength at last gave out, and I laid her down under the fence, but she did not awaken. I then crept back to the house to see who was there and to get my things. The light I had seen now came downstairs and moved towards the barn. I was so near that I saw the overseer and 6 slaves armed searching for me. Oh, my soul! It makes my hair stand up to think how near we were to getting caught and carried back, to be abused and maltreated unreasonably and without cause. I was within 5 rods or 28 yards of them when they went into the barn. They searched it thoroughly as I saw between the rails of a fence. "Oh, you rascals," I thought, "you're defeated now." But 'twas a close run and a narrow chance. When they left the barn, I kept watch for them. They returned the candle to the house, then walked the way they had come, to the place where they had left their mules. They stayed there a half an hour, and I still kept watch of them. I wanted to get my things, but I was wise enough to know that every time a slaveholder is out of sight, he isn't gone. Every time his eye is shut, he's not asleep. They then returned towards the house as they moved. I moved, keeping the same distance from them. When they were within about 10 rods of the house, they crouched down in readiness to shoot me when I might approach the house. They had rendered me desperate by their devilment and knew I would fight. They would not dare take me without shooting me first. I watched them, and as they watched for me, until the cocks crowed for morning. It would not do for me to remain any longer to get my clothes and provisions. I went back to the place where I'd left my wife, and she was then easily awakened, and we hide, how they spell it is weird, hide to the woods to conceal ourselves for the day. We had no provisions but a raw ham. We dared not make a fire to broil it, so we ate of it raw like a dog. At night, between sunset and dark, I went back to the house in the village. At the door, I saw a person with our things. They gave them to me and bade me Godspeed and that if I was taken, not to betray them. I put forth and with my wife reached Canada. God save the Queen. So yeah, that got really exciting, right? Yes, I'd love to see that on the screen. Okay, so did you like it? What do you think? Thanks so much for watching, for listening. I'm too excited.